What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for some more content for you guys. We've got quite a lot to get through today, and
still basking in the glory of 3 points.
of course, I'm still hungover, to be honest. Still hungover.
I haven't recovered yet.
Yeah, this is what happens when you get a bit older, you know. Hangovers take longer, but yeah, man, that was just an incredible day, wasn't it? It was just an incredible day.
And you wait so long for a performance like that, you
two just come along just like that, and Spurs are out the relegation zone. But look, still a lot of work still to do. Man City had to ruin the weekend for us all, but hasn't taken away from the Spurs performance and result. So yeah, let's get into it, because we're going to start off talking on Mikey Moore. We did touch on it yesterday a little bit, but Mikey Moore has picked up the Young Player of the Year award in the SPL. Massive achievement for Mikey Moore in his loan spell at Rangers. Unfortunately, they had a damaging defeat yesterday. They lost 2-1 to Hearts, 1-0 up. Hearts got it back to 2-1, and now Hearts are 1 point clear of Rangers at the top. So that was actually a really pivotal game in terms of the championship race there. But Mikey Moore, stunning season for him. Yeah,
delighted for him. What a brilliant loan spell it's been, and he's like grown as the season's gone on as well, and just become one of the main players for Rangers after initially struggling. So I think he's had to adapt, he's had to grow as a player, and I think it's pretty much gone as well as we could have expected, I think, for Mikey Moore. And the question is, next season, what do we do with him? Is it another loan spell? Obviously, he's made it clear he wouldn't mind going back to Rangers, but he's also made it clear that he wants to be part of the first team at Tottenham at some point. That's his ultimate goal. But what do you think about Mikey Moore? Obviously, I think everyone was thinking if we were to go down, he would definitely be at Tottenham. But if we were to stay up, what do we do with him?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I guess it's all up to Roberto De Zerbi to see how ready he is. He'll get the pre-season here, I'm sure. And De Zerbi can make a judgment call on it. But if you're thinking about it, and looking at the business that we need to do this summer, regardless if Mikey stays or not, we still need to bring in probably another left winger. And with Tell there, Mikey there, potentially another one in as well. Is there enough games to share the load between everyone on the left wing?
It's an interesting one, because you've also got to consider we've got Xavi and Odegaard who have ACLs, but obviously they're going to be back at some point next season. So is it a case of maybe keep him till Jan, and if they're back at that point, you could maybe loan him out if he's not getting enough game time, because he probably could get some minutes. But it's depending on. Obviously, we made the mistake last summer of we had Kulusevski and Maddison, and we didn't really get well equipped for that reality this season, and it obviously ended up punishing us. So what do we do with Odegaard and Xavi? Do we act like we're not going to see them again next season, or is it a case of maybe keeping Mikey Moore around, filling in those roles until they're fit?
Well, when did Odegaard do his ACL? How long ago was it?
That was January or February.
January, February. So I mean,
Villa third round, wasn't it?
Yeah. So you would say he should still be able to play a significant part in next season. Odegaard.
Probably think he's aiming for December, January time.
Yeah, maybe even before then, because they're thinking about Xavi Simons coming back around that time. So you would think Odegaard would come back before then.
What's Maddison? July, he was into July, and now he's back around nowish. So how many months has that been? August, October, November, December, January, February, March, April, 9 months, May, 10 months.
Yeah.
So, in 10 months' time, that's around, it'll be a March. So, yeah, I think we'd all love to see him part of the first team.
Yeah.
We'd love to believe he's good enough right now to be in the Premier League first team.
Yeah, absolutely. You know me, I'm a massive believer of Mikey Moore and his talents, and I think he's going to definitely have a future at Spurs. But the reality is he's so young. There's no need to rush things, is there? You know, I think regardless if he's in the first team next year, another loan, whatever it may be, I still think he's going to have a massive future here and a massive future in the game. But look, it all depends on what Roberto thinks of him. I think when you're looking at those injuries and potentially who's coming back, who's not, what's going to happen with Kulusevski and stuff like that, maybe it is a case of keeping him around till January and seeing what happens. But I'd love to see him part of the first team next year. I really would. But if he decides another loan spell, it'll only do his development good.
Yeah, obviously he'll take a good look at him pre-season. But I think because he can play in like the 10, he can play off the left as well. Given his development, I think it might be worth just keeping him around for the first 6 months at least and see what kind of where he's at, and also kind of give him the game time. And he also is another body that we could use. So I've got a feeling maybe we'll keep him around, but it depends. As you say, if we go and sign another left winger, if we go and make all these signings or whatever, then obviously his game time will probably limited, and maybe a Premier League loan, hopefully.
That'd be lovely.
That would be
if
great.
he could get a Premier League loan, let's say to a Coventry or someone just coming up, or even someone fighting for the top end of the Championship, I think would do him really well as well. So anywhere where he's going to be playing consistent football at a decent level, I'm happy with that.
Maybe what about a European loan?
Yeah.
Bundesliga. I'd love a Bundesliga.
A Bundesliga loan would be brilliant
amazing.
for him. Would be brilliant for him. So I think there's only good things to come from Mikey Moore, and brilliant season for him, facing adversity as well. So he's going to go on from strength to strength, in my opinion. Tom Barkley has done an article with a few things regarding Spurs' incomings and outcomings. The first thing he's talking about is Spurs have lined up 2 signings on a free transfer. It's no secret who they are. First one, Andy Robertson. If Spurs do stay in the Premier League, Andy Robertson will be a Tottenham player come the summer. So I guess what we say about Robertson, he brings that leadership ability, he brings experience, a player on the decline. That's for everyone to see. I'm not too excited about it, but I can see its values.
Yeah, looking at what Udogie was doing against Aston Villa, the energy he's using to get up and down and play in that inverted role sometimes. I mean, is Robinson still capable of that? That's the question. Obviously, we've seen him massively decline, but we also have seen him put in some solid performances, and at times was keeping Kirkes out of the team, even this season. So he's not completely finished. I think a backup role to Udogie is not bad, but as we've said before, Udogie's injury problems. Is that, can you rely on... He might have to play a lot if Udogie's injury problems, keep happening and he keeps being unavailable. So you would rather have someone who's kind of more of a first choice to battle with Udogie, or is it a case of selling Udogie and getting someone else? But he seems to like Udogie a lot. He's been talking up Udogie a lot. So I don't think Udogie's going anywhere, if I'm being honest. So again, as I've said before, I'd rather go for someone different. I think because we're out of Europe, it's probably okay. So it's not the end of the world, but I don't really see why we're doing this, apart from maybe the fact that we could do with a bit more older, experienced heads in the dressing room. That's the only real reason.
Yeah, I mean, if it was up to me, I'll decide against it and go for someone more young with a future to grow with this team, as opposed to someone that's at the tail end of his career and only going to get worse from here on out. Look, the reality is Andy Robertson, he's coming here for one last payday. That's all it is. So, yeah, I would decide against it if it was up to me. But the other one in Marcus Senesi is one I'm excited about. I think he's had a stellar season for Bournemouth. A player that can really play out the back, really good defender as well. He's got so many goal contributions for Bournemouth this season. He's a fantastic player, and at 28 years of age, I think you're getting him at a decent age. He's playing at probably in the prime of his career right now. So Marcus Senesi, I think, will be a really good signing for us, and he plays exactly the way that De Zerbi want him to play. Yeah,
that's what's really kind of exciting, is the fact that he plays under Iraola, so he already plays in a kind of high pressing system, a team that like to play progressive passes, and he's given that role, isn't he, to play those passes in between the lines. And obviously we've wanted like another left-footed centre-back to come into the club to help support Van der Ven, albeit Van der Ven's injury issues have seemed to subside this season, to be fair, but obviously he had a lot of hamstring issues, so we're always looking for cover for him. So I think Senesi, obviously either battling with him or partnering him potentially if Romero leaves even. What do you think of the prospect of that? Do you think we could play 2 left-footers? It's a bit of a weird one. It seems like 2 left-footers seems to be a problem, but when you play 2 right-footers, it's not a problem. But you never see anyone playing 2 left-footers.
Yeah, but I think just because left-footers are more rare than right-footers. There's so many more right-footers than left-footers. I think that's just what it is.
So you don't think necessarily it's a problem?
I don't think it's a problem. I mean, I just prefer
right centre back.
Yeah, I prefer a left centre back and a right centre back to be right footed and left footed. That's just what I prefer. But I mean, you've seen it before. Spurs have played right footers on both sides. But
Guehi plays on the left, not a massive problem.
Yeah, it's not a problem. If you're good enough, then it doesn't really matter. But I don't know.
Yeah, I just can't think of a right centre back who's ever been left footed. I can't think of one.
I don't think he's coming to play right centre back. I don't. I think he's coming to play left centre back, and what that means for Mickey Van der Ven, I don't know, because I don't even think Mickey Van Ven's going to be ending up leaving this summer. And I think Senesi is coming because he's been guaranteed playing time. So it's going to be an interesting one. Without Europe, I don't know, it's going to be a difficult one to kind of assess.
I wonder if Van de Ven might, if Senesi is here and Van de Ven stays, I wonder if Van de Ven spends a bit of time at left back, like he's done for his national team.
I wouldn't mind that at all.
If we maybe get another centre back or Danso, maybe.
If we do that and make Andy Robertson our third choice left back, then I think that makes more sense. I don't mind that at all. If he's our backup, then I think it's a bit of an issue. But if he's the third choice and Senesi can play left centre back and Van de Ven goes left back, I'm completely fine with that.
But just in terms of Senesi, profile-wise, I think definitely a good fit. The only maybe little question mark is some people suggest he's not the quickest and maybe could be caught out. But you know what? Iraola plays, as we've said, like a heavy transitional system, and they do leave space, and he seems to be doing all right there. They have quite a good defensive record, especially in the last 10 games or so. Their defensive record's been pretty good, so he doesn't seem to be struggling. He's already used to playing in a system that's attacking front-footed. It's not like like when we signed Dragoshin, where you're taking him out like a duck out of, not duck out of water, different saying, but it's not like we're exactly changing the way he wants to play. He's quite used to playing in a front-footed way. So you have more confidence that his performances can translate to us, unlike when Dragoshin was playing a defensive system, came into us and it's not quite fit.
He's a good player, man. He really is a good player. So I think it's one that adds depth to the current centre-backs that we do have. Obviously, Luka Vuskovic coming back as well, so we'll get into him in a little bit. But it does beg the question what happens with the likes of Mickey van de Ven and Coutinho Romero, because Tom Barkley says that one of Romero or van de Ven are likely to leave this summer, as well as Radu Dragoshin as well, to create a pathway for Luka Vuskovic. I mean, if I'm going to make a prediction, I would say probably Romero and Dragoshin would leave and Mickey van de Ven would stay. But then obviously that brings up the question about the left footers, which we were speaking about before. Is there a case to say that Romero could end up staying because, De Zerbi's in and the players seem to be well behind De Zerbi?
Well, and he's got a longer contract, doesn't he? He just signed one, so I don't know how that affects things. How long was his contract he signed? 4 years, which would put him. And then
I think it was a 1 year extension, so he had 3 years left, and he added one more year.
Yeah, so now you have 3 at the end of this year.
Yeah,
and Van de Ven has 3, right?
Yeah.
So actually, it's the same contract length. That doesn't make too much difference there.
Yeah, Romero's till 2029.
Yeah, and I guess Van de Ven's the same. Yeah, so.
Yeah, both till 2029.
Romero's probably just more likely to leave just because he's been here longer, and I also think the circumstances with him speaking out, I think that probably makes the club more willing to sell him. But he is our captain, and I think he's a top player, and I think De Zerbi will absolutely love him. I think De Zerbi will try and fight tooth and nail to keep him, in my opinion. But sometimes there's not much a manager can do. As much like sometimes there are things outside of his control.
Yeah, like when Ange first came in and he lost Harry Kane,
Yes, that I feel like it could be that kind of scenario where it's just happening. There's not much he can do about it, unless he can have a chat with him. But again, Romero's probably had these chats with other managers, hasn't he? And it hasn't panned out. So whether he is willing to have sit down and be again motivated by the Tottenham project when he's kind of seemed to have lost faith in it, whether that's recoverable, I'm not sure about that.
The reality is, with these guys, they've got 3 years left in their contract, so it's going to take big money offers to get them out. And who is actually going to come out? Because, all the Atletico thing, they weren't willing to pay the money last summer. Are they going to be willing to pay the money this summer? Who is actually going to be willing to pay this money?
There's rumours of Barca, Madrid, Atletico. Who knows? Maybe they're not interested. Maybe it is the case that people suggest that he's not that highly thought of, and maybe he'll end up staying. I don't know if anyone within the Premier League will go for him. I think he could maybe really suit a Man City or a Liverpool even, but will they go for him, or would we stump up the price if it's a Premier League team, or would we be willing to sell? I guess in a different scenario when we're challenging near the top, we probably wouldn't sell. We'd probably put our foot down. But given that we're not there and we have to accept our reality, maybe we would be more willing to accept a deal within the Premier League. I think there probably will be offers. Whether it'll be offers what we'll be happy with, that's the question. And whether there's some compromise from Tottenham's side because there's a willingness to let him go because of some of the other circumstances. I reckon there might be. It depends how desperate he is to leave as well. If he's really desperate to go, I think there will be some compromise from Tottenham. I think last summer it was a case of we wanted top dollar. I reckon this summer there might be a bit of compromise. I've got a feeling.
It'll be interesting to see how that all plays out. And the same with the likes of Mickey van der Ven as well, because we've seen him visibly frustrated, but we've seen him bang back on side since De Zerbi has come back in. So has De Zerbi been able to change any of these players' minds? I think there's a good chance that could be the case.
Yeah, it's a hard one to judge because he's obviously been here for such short amount of time. But as you say, Van der Ven looks like a new player. A lot of people, some ITKs have been suggesting he's fully bought into De Zerbi and really likes what he's doing. And clearly on the pitch we can see that. We've also heard Van der Ven speak previously about how he wants, to be playing in a side who's more front-footed. So I'm sure he's loving having De Zerbi back. But he did go through a period where he seemed disillusioned, or he seemed like his heart wasn't in it and he was making mistakes. That seems to have gone past that now. But there's still a lot of rumours, isn't there, in the press that he's going to look to leave in the summer, and if other deals are on the table, he might be tempted by them. So it's hard to know where his head is at. Has it completely flipped 180 just because of De Zerbi, or is it a case of he's more willing to stay, but he'll still explore other opportunities if there are there?
Look, I think all it takes is a good manager that players can kind of resonate with to get a player back on side. And I do feel like that is the case with Mickey. When his head wasn't there under Thomas Frank, under Igor Tudor, I did liken the situation to Jan Vertonghen when he looked like his head was gone under the Tim Sherwood days, and then Pochettino came in and got his head right, and Spurs looked to go in the right direction. So I wouldn't bet against that being a similar scenario now.
It's just a problem with that one. I guess we're not going to be in Europe next year, and that's where most players want to be. And obviously, when he first came, he was out of Europe. It wasn't a big deal because he was young. He was just coming into the Premier League anyway, so that's fine. But then now he's established himself as a top centre-back. That's where he wants to be. He believes he should be playing in the Champions League.
Of course.
And maybe because he's still fairly young, one more year isn't the end of the world, but I don't know if any more than that.
That's why, because like these players with Mickey van der Ven and Coutinho Romero got 3 years left on their deal. One more year to take them into 2 years left in their deal. They know they're going to start holding all the power going into those last 2 years. So I got a feeling, even both of them, but definitely one of them, will give it next season and say, look, we're going to give it under De Zerbi 1 more year, see how it goes. And if it's a shit show still, then I think they'll push for moves massively next summer.
I mean, I hope so. I've got a feeling, I do have a feeling, as Barkley said, one of them will probably leave. More so just because we're out of Europe, we could probably do with a bit of money. So a bit of extra, another 50 million or whatever. Or if it's Van der Ven's case, a bit more. So, I think that's why I think Tottenham, I think if we were in Europe, we somehow had Europe, then I think it probably would be the case that both of them might stay. But because we need that money, I think we're willing to sell one of them, I think.
And obviously Dragoshin, I mean, he's going to be the centre-back at Spurs. That just doesn't fit what De Zerbi's going to want to do at all. Not exactly good on the ball. Good defender at times, but yeah, I mean, we all said he didn't align with the way Ange, and he was just completely misprofiled. So he's the one that makes most sense to leave. Yeah,
it's been... Obviously, he had that bad injury, but it's not been a good signing. I think we got this one wrong. I think we just have to accept that as a club, move on from it, and try and get some money back. I mean, we signed him for how much? 30 million?
Around about, God. 25, 30 million.
We ain't getting that. We're lucky to get 10. I think.
Well, his agent thinks he's good enough for Real Madrid.
I mean, who's going to pay more than 10 million for him?
I think you can get 25.
25?
Yeah, 15.
You really think so?
Why not? 25 is nothing these days.
I don't think you're getting 25 for Dragoshin.
He's not as bad as you keep saying, man.
I'm just saying, really you're not getting 25 for him.
Why not? 25 is nothing these days.
Who is going to pay 25
An Italian
million?
club or someone like that.
No chance.
I'm telling you, 15 to 25 million you'll get for him.
That's
10 million.
Not maybe 15. You're not getting 20.
I think in between those figures you'll get maybe 20.
You're getting max 15. Max.
I don't know, man. You'd be surprised, man. Dragoshin, he's not as bad as you think. He's still a good player.
His stock is very low.
He's a good player in certain systems.
But his stock is very low.
And particularly in the Italian league, I think they value him there.
But he's just off at 8. Well, not just off, but how long has he been out? When did he come back from the ACL? A few months ago.
He came back around January time, I think it was.
He's still recovering from that. He hasn't worked out at Tottenham. He's not really wanted here. He hasn't been good most of the time. He hasn't been that great when he has played. So his stock is very low. So from that point of view, I don't see him having, yeah, his value is going to be a lot less than what we paid for sure.
All right. And yeah, let's talk about Luka Vuskovic now, because this could potentially be big news. I spoke about Tom Barkley saying that Spurs trying to get Dragic out to create that pathway for Luka Vuskovic to come back in next season. He's also said that Tottenham are ready to offer Luka Vuskovic a bumper new contract. Johan Lange has travelled over to Hamburg recently to speak with Vuskovic about his future, but Spurs willing to throw the book at Luka Vuskovic, give him a new bumper pay rise to say this is where your future lies.
Well, who suggested? Someone in our comments said, look, the only chance he would only send them on loan if we get him to sign a contract. I think that makes sense. That makes sense to me. Sign a contract, you can go back on loan. If not, you're staying with us. And obviously, De Zerbi would very much like to have a look at him, I'm sure. And I think all Tottenham fans are excited about him. I would love to see him in the first team next season. I think you don't what?
I don't think it's a case of sign a contract and you'll go back on loan. I think it's sign a contract and we're going to have you as part of the first team next season.
I hope that's the case as well. I think we need to give him a new contract because he's grown in value so much.
I think it's pointless. If you're going to sell Dragic, you need to bring him in. It's pointless signing another centre-back when you've got a player like him ready and waiting. I think you just bring him back in and you make him part of the first team next season.
I mean, I would love to do that. I think I would love to see him part of the first team. I'm really excited about him. I think everyone rightly is. It'd be interesting to see what De Zerbi does with him. I thought it was odd that we did send him back on loan, but obviously it was Vuskovic's idea because he looked so good in pre-season last year. And I thought after that goal against Reading, we were like, okay, he's definitely going to be part of the first team now, isn't he? Then obviously we send him on loan because he felt with Romero, Van der Ven, there wasn't going to be a pathway. But if Romero does leave, then all of a sudden there's that spot.
He could be your first choice centre-back at 20 years old.
Yeah,
so.
He could be. Why not? I mean, look, there are question marks still because he's so young and it was the Bundesliga, but he's just doing so well that you can't ignore it.
No, you can't at all. You say it's just the Bundesliga. It's still top 3 league in the European football. So I mean, nothing to be sniffed at all. And he's getting in team of the year and all this like half-season player of the year, whatever that may be. The guy is absolutely fantastic, and we need to get him in the first team, particularly if we're making all these sales at centre back. We have to.
Yeah, now's probably the time when expectations are low. And we're not expected to do much. I mean, I don't know what the expectations are for next year if we stay up. We'll have to wait and see about the summer. Obviously, we expect to have a much better season than next season and this season if we stay up, especially under De Zerbi. But I think now would be a good time for him to come in and while everyone accepts that we're where we are a bit, and if he does make a few mistakes early on, people aren't going to pile in on him probably as much.
Yeah. So yeah, let's see what happens with him. Again, De Zerbi will take a good look at him at pre-season.
So what's he on now, do you think, contract-wise? And what do you reckon you would get a raise to?
Let's see. So I think he's on. Where is it? I'm not sure how much he's on. I reckon about 30.
He's on around 30. Well, when did he last sign a contract?
It says he's on 11,000 euros a week.
Yeah, I was thinking because I don't remember him signing another new contract.
So he's on small money. He's on 11,000. So I think they probably put him up to about 40 or something like that.
40, 50, something like that. A proper one of the not big, but in our squad sense, but
but
proper
for him
wage.
at that age to earn that money as well is massive.
But at the end of the day, if he was to move, he'd be getting that, wouldn't he?
Yeah, it's 100%.
Yeah.